What's up, everybody? Good morning, party people in the house. It is Thursday. That's right. It is Thursday again as we are barreling down the end of October. I can't believe that we are about getting into that holiday season. Halloween's around the corner, which means Thanksgiving's around the corner, which means Christmas is around the corner. New Year's is around the corner. Capricorn season is around the corner. Man, text guy, you said it's a short intro today. It's a short intro every day. It's like a 15-second intro. It's like crazy how short it is. I feel like I got the shortest intro of anybody on this channel, to be quite honest with you. I have no time to just get ready, tweet stuff out, like nothing like that. That's all right. It's all good. One day we'll change it. Maybe in the new year we'll do something to do. We'll mix it up. But good morning to everybody. Happy everyone's in there. Come on, file on in. October the 19th, like about 59 degrees outside with a high of about 87 today. So beautiful day. I'll definitely have a lot of sports topics for you guys today, so you don't have to worry about it. No one will have to clutch their pearls. Wondering, why are we talking about sports? Why are you talking about this other stuff that's not sports related? It's all good. Thank you, Benji. Yes. This is definitely taking it back for those who have seen it. I know Aaron has probably never seen this movie. He has no clue. Boys in the Hood. No, he doesn't know. He doesn't know anything about Ricky. Ricky! What'd you do to my baby? Good morning from wherever you guys are. Some of you guys are baseball fans. Clearly, I let it was known. You guys let it be known yesterday when we went off topic that you much rather watch baseball than Premier League soccer. So shout out to everybody who watched baseball last night. I'm not going to be that person who comes on here and fakes and acts like a front runner. Like, I can't believe Houston did that last night. Like Houston and Texas and all that. I'm not going to fake it for you. Not going to fake it. Haven't talked baseball all year long. Not going to talk it now because it's the postseason. So there. Hopefully you got some of that baseball talk on Horns Up this morning. Hopefully Aaron gave it to you and everybody else will give it to you. And hope you'll get some in the afternoon. You probably ain't going to get any on this show. You're definitely not going to get any analysis show. I can tell you that damn much. Like I can tell, there's one things I know about Alex. I know he ain't going to talk about baseball. He's going to talk about a lot of things. He'll talk about ribs. He'll talk about everything. But shout out to you guys. Shout out to, again, I'm not going to take any sides on this. I don't have any horse in this Rangers versus Houston race. But for those of you guys who had a chance to watch it and enjoy it last night, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope your team won. And then if not, I hope your team rebounds and wins. And that's all I'm going to say about it. And yes, yo, don't let me out the car. It's so true. He was ready to go. He was about that life, wasn't he? He shook Cuba good. He was about that life. He's like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Remember, he's in the room. You know, he's doing all that crap. He's like, act like he was about that life, but he really wasn't about that life. One day, Aaron, in the off season where you have a little bit more, I'm going to have you watch it. Yeah, but everybody. I'm like, okay. Go ahead. You going to do it or not? Going to do it or not? Nope, not going to do it. What you do to my baby? I like the Boys in the Hood review from everybody here. It's pretty cool. What else is going on? I think everything else is kind of light. Everything else is kind of cool. I'm kind of going to run down in today's show have a kind of a shorter show today because today's Thursday. So today's is a prize picks day for us. So I can't necessarily do things, but I've got like 10 questions that must be answered. As we get ready to start the second half of this season, the last 6 games, and I come up with certain things that I think I think are 10 really valid questions. I was almost going to try to do a playoff of 50 cent and do 21 questions. And I was just like, man, that's a lot of questions. So because at that point, I'm trying too hard to be cool and make something work. So I narrowed it down to 10, the 10 most important ones, and we'll focus in on that 10. And within that like 90 minutes or so that I kind of get a chance to do the show. And then I got to get out. Everything, people got to get set up for the next show, and then get that thing ready to go at 10 o'clock. And then, of course, Steve Sarkisian will be speaking, and he'll address the media today at 11 o'clock. Well, I guess 11:10. So you guys could go ahead and put your wagers in as to what time he actually will have an opportunity to speak. I still don't understand why no one takes my suggestion and has his press conference start at 11:30. But nonetheless, it is what it is. Let me make sure I give a shout out to everybody who got here early today. Some of the early risers here. It's not the people who are the front runners and the bandwagoners or anything like that, but the loyal folks who are here, who not only in the chat, but of course to those who are watching as well. Rodolfo got the #1 spot back. Rodolfo, congratulations to you, dog. How does it feel? It's been a while, man. They took the crown from you, Rodolfo. I didn't think you was going to get it back, man. You was so disrespectful. But Rodolfo, you got it. You finally back on top. Hate it or love it, the underdog is on top. And I'm glad for you, Rodolfo. Congratulations, John Buck. Eric Hart is back in the house. Good morning to you. Caesar is back in the house. Soto 806. Always in that top 5 spot. Good to see you. Anthony, you always in that top 5 or 6 spot. So good to see you as well. But Wild is in the house. Good morning to you. My trucker, Breaker 1-2. And your question is, how old is too old for a Make-A-Wish program? That's a really good question. I don't know. I think once you get out of like the teenage years, it's probably a little bit too old, but there's probably a little something there that I don't know. That there's probably something that predates me, and I don't know what the conversation is about, but because it's really random, so it has to be something real specific. I would say teenage years, but now you have to tell me why you asked the question. DWD, good morning to you. Good morning, bro. How you doing? Dale Coleman back in early. It's always good to see you. So you're leaving at lunchtime. All right, I got it. Text guy 2 is funny. Text guy 2 is in here. It's Thursday, before what should be a victory, so it's all good. Zio_V, my favorite Hennessy bottle, is in the house. Jared Neal is in here as well. Justin, another fragrance reviewer, my man, as he gets ready for work. Drive safely is in here. Chris Bennett, the original OG of super fans, is in the house. What else we got here? Ben G, good to see you again. Interstate Kiki, what's going on with you? How you doing, man? My son was out there. He does a soccer thing, Kiki. But we were out at You ever take your kid over to Ball Hard, Kiki, and do some workouts over there with Sean? My kid was out there last night working out there at Ball Hard, doing that stuff. But you ever do the Ball Hard workout stuff, man? Let me know. Who else? Doug is in here. Good to see you, Doug. Good to see you. Good to see you, Doug and Jared. Look at my man. My homeboys are in here. Arthur is in here as well. Chad Gibson. Yes. Good to see you, Chad. Absolutely. All right, man. Too many other people missing, though. Too many other people missing. Too many people. I know Robert's on vacation with his wife. Bobby and Whitney are out there doing their thing. I don't know. Where's Texas Mama? Where'd she go to? Where's South End Zone Queen? Where'd she go to? Where's Kobe at? Where'd he go to? There's some folks that are missing from here. Good morning to you, Dwayne, as well. Where's Jaime at? Where's some of my people at? All right, we need this team to start winning. We need this team to start winning and everybody come back. That's all it is. We need this team to start winning everything back. Kiki though, he's good, man. Hit me up. I'll let you know about it. And they got good workouts. They got a good worker. Sean does I think his last name is Hartman, does a pretty good job. So no problems to that. But shout out to Sean and the good work that he does over there at Ball Hard. This first portion of the show is brought to you by my main man, Eric Sells Homes, DFW. If you're looking for a home in the DFW area, you don't have to look any further than El Presidente. I will not try to do any of my voices that sound horrifically bad when I try to do my accents. So I won't do it today, but I will tell you that if you're looking for a home, looking to buy a home, looking to sell a home, whatever it is that you're looking for out there in the DFW area, he's got you covered. It's a holiday time, so it's a really good time to kind of start getting in. Trying to buy a home is always a good time. And who the hell trying to buy a house around November, right? Come on. You go get that's Deal City. And if you on the flip end, you're like, I want to make sure I get the most money for your house. Eric's going to be the person that tells you, hey, let's hold off. We'll sell it here or sell it here or this month or this month. He's got you covered. He'll be on here tomorrow giving you his picks. We had last week off, so we didn't get a chance to get his picks at all. But he'll be back tomorrow with his picks. So get ready on our fun Friday, our foolishness Friday that we do. Where I'm sorry, we will talk some sports, but it's going to be a lot of fun when it's all said and done. So make sure you check it out. Eric Sells Homes, DFW. Hit my man up. Thank you so much. And Darian, good to see you in here as well. Back again. Yeah, man. Back at it again. I saw Snoop Dogg over the summer. I told you that, Darian. So Snoop Dogg went to a concert up in Cincinnati. And then it was a really good show. I was surprised and forgot how many good hits he had. But when you said back at it again, it made me think of Snoop. And so, yeah, back at it again, Darian BT. I hope all is well with you and your fam. And I hope you get ready to have a good weekend. As some of us get ready, to descend upon Houston tomorrow. Where's Tom G at, too? What's going on? What is going on? So I need this team to win. See, y'all my soldiers. Y'all are here win or lose. Like that's it. But I need the folks. You know how this thing was popping when this team was winning. That's how this thing was just the whole everything. Chat was popping, super chats are popping, like everything's going crazy. And now everyone's like, oh well, let's see what happens. Man, we appreciate you guys for keeping that energy. I appreciate you guys for keeping that energy and staying here on your porch. This is why I always talk about stay on your porch, be consistent, all that kind of stuff. This is what consistency looks like. So thank you to all you guys in the chat. Thank you to all the guys and ladies that are watching right now. Thank you to everybody who may show up in the 9 o'clock hour, because we also know that in 9 o'clock hour, it also gets a little bit on and popping as well. Yeah, and Money B, they'll be back. But when they're back, just also know when they come back, also know, you know what? You never left. Just make sure there's a distinction with that, right? They're going to come back. Texas is going to beat Houston. You see some more. They're going to beat BYU. You see some more. You're going to see a spike all of a sudden. And just make sure like, man, it's good that y'all came back, but there's some of you that just never left. And thank you to those who never left. Ricky! All right, so there are, you said Buck Wild fans had to use the bye week as well. Come on, you're a fan, Buck Wild. Fans are fans. Like that. The thing is, you're a fan whether they're good. You're a fan whether they're bad, but you're a fan. You don't leave it just because things are bad and like, oh, I need a little break. Man, it's been 2 weeks. What you need a break from? Okay, emotionally, yeah, all right. It was a disappointment, but you gotta get back on that horse, man. Like you're a fan. Like you love this team, good or bad. You're here. You're here. So if you're here, everybody else can be here. That's it. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, man, I'm glad. Like I said, I appreciate you guys listening. And that, in another week or two, everybody be back. It'll be all good. There'll be huge spikes in October, huge spikes in November, huge spikes in December. So I know how this thing goes. Not my first rodeo. And it'll be all good. Aaron, let's do this. Before I get started, because I don't know when I'll get a chance to do a break. Let's go ahead and get a break in now, and then when we come back, we're gonna get this whole party started. We're gonna start talking about these 10 things that Texas, these 10 questions that need to be answered. And then we're going to get we're going to get you guys involved in this thing as well. So there's going to be a lot of discussion, a lot of football discussion. Where's Jaime when you need him? Where are you, Jaime? It's all good. He'll probably be in later. All right, let's do a quick break. When we come back, we're going to break this whole thing down. 10 questions that need to be answered in the second half of the Longhorn season.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about not too worried about this next one. These next couple, I think that the real stuff is the real stuff to worry about. I'm not that worried about it. I think Texas runs the table, dude. I mean, I think that they come out of this thing pissed off, and it could be the Oklahoma loss, could be end up being the best thing for them. You know, just give them a kick in the ass halfway through the season and see if it can fire them up to give them some motivation and give them a chip on their shoulder that wasn't available to them previously, simply because they didn't have a loss on their record. Now they do. They have something to prove, and Sark talked about it at his press conference.
Do you think? Do you think they can still make the Big 12 championship game even if they lose one more? In your mind?
Yeah, I think there aren't there plenty. I'd have to pull up the Big 12. That's a good question. I'd have to pull up the Big 12 standings. But if you're telling me that there's going to be what would the other one? So what would the one loss team be? West Virginia? No, right?
Well, West Virginia just lost,
right?
Over the weekend, obviously. So you've got Iowa State right now is 3-1 in conference. Texas is 2-1 in conference. Kansas State is 2-1 in conference. Oklahoma State.
So the Texas loss would have to be to Iowa State. I mean, this is a million different things. I mean, I think the Iowa State loss the Texas loss would have to be to Iowa State, and Iowa State would have to run the table and like all this stuff. I think even a 2-loss Texas, even though we don't have time to go over every permutation of what could possibly happen. There's an Oak State thing in there as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It's I think even 2 losses, you could probably still get in, but ultimately your ultimate goals of the college football playoff are probably shot at that point.
Thank God, right? Yes, this is better than the recruiting flashbacks, right? There's so much content that's on this channel. Like we no longer have to hear about, and he wanted to have Texas babies. Like I'd like, okay, yes, yeah, no. Like, it is not to say that Jeff Ketchum didn't do a good job. He did a fantastic job with it. It's just the problem with the breaks was just having to hear the same thing over and over and over and over again. And so now if we can, mix in things from different shows, and that was me as I don't know if that was when I was like, yeah, that I think it was Alex was a guest on my show yesterday when he and I were talking, and we could just do that across the board from different shows. Give me something from the OB Outsiders, give me something from Horns Up, give me something from all, and we just all integrate all that. Then it won't get stale. So I love it. Thank you to Blake for putting that together. Blake produces the afternoon shows, and and it does a good job with that. So I appreciate Blake for putting that stuff together. You guys should be happy. I know you're gonna miss the Corey Redding stuff. I understand. And every once in a while, maybe we'll throw in some Corey Redding for you. But I think you had the Corey Redding recruiting flashback memorized, right? I'm pretty sure. So shout out to Blake for getting that thing done. Yes, they listened. See what happens when you can just be I won't say passive aggressive, but eventually they do listen. All right, so let's think about this. Let's think about this. And I'm in a very good mood, by the way, because Friday is almost here, and I'm super excited. So I'm just trying to contain myself. But Friday is almost here, weekend's almost here. I'm super excited, about that. We got Sarkeesian today, but super excited to get to Houston. One of my a cool city. One of my more favorite cities here in Texas. I mean, to be quite honest with like how many can really be my favorite. There's only like 3 when it's all said and done. So, but I always usually Houston is one of the wildest cities that I visit. Like it's one of those cities that the greatest things could happen at you at any point. Like you just have the time in your life, but somebody might like steal your catalytic converter. Like you just never know in Houston. Like there's something crazy, something for everybody that's over there. But looking forward to that. So let's get to what I say are 10 questions that must be answered. And by the way, ATX Big Rich, I'm glad you like this as well. Yeah, we had like the Corey Redding flashback pretty much all day yesterday. So Blake worked on that. So we are all in a good place going forward. So let me get to the 10 questions that I feel like must be answered. And I kind of want your opinions in the chat over here in the Specs chat line as we kind of talk about it. So we start thinking about the totality, right? Which is Texas has 6 games left in this regular season, 6 games away from being potentially in the Big 12 championship game. For those of you who have your reservations in Arlington, of course, we can all hit up Eric Torres at that point and see maybe have him take you around, while we were hanging out in Arlington. But for those of you who didn't cancel your reservations, who still have December 2nd stamped on your calendar, here becomes the first question that I feel like is the most important question that I have and that Texas needs to have going into the second half of the season. That question is, number 1, can Texas run the table? That to me becomes really the question, more so than can Texas get to the Big 12 championship game? Because I think getting to a Big 12 championship game at 10-2 at this point is a good thing, but it will be a slight letdown because of the big picture goal that's still here, right? That big picture goal where you're still ranked in the top 10. And if you run the table, you start getting back into the playoff conversation, right? And I think, with 1 loss, you can still put yourself in that conversation. With 2 losses, yes, Texas still makes it to the Big 12 championship game, but you'll still think to yourself what could have been. Right? That's what you'll think to yourself, man, I had that opportunity. Like Texas had this opportunity to run that table. And they run the table and, of course, win in the rematch, which I assume Oklahoma will be there. Then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, what could be potentially getting to, again, 2 losses in the Big 12, get you to the championship game more than likely. In hell, and then having an 11-win season, potentially a 12-win season, you'll feel great. I mean, you'll feel great. Like you'll take the majority. You would take that now, right? If it was let's make a deal, you take that thing right now, right? You said right now, I'm out. I don't need to do anything else. You'll take that, right? Showcase showdown, like all those kind of things. You're like, I'll take that today. So can they run the table? Ends up being the question that we're asking, and then the question I'm asking to you guys, and I see you guys are saying yes. Benji, you say they have to. And Benji, when you're saying they have to, that I know what you're thinking. You're thinking they have to in order to get to blank, 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 right? Which is obviously getting back into the playoff conversation. I've said that I believe that they can. I believe that Texas can run the table. And there's some reasons that I outlined earlier this week that I'll get into right now. And I kind of reiterate it a little bit for those who may have missed it. But when we look at the schedule that lies ahead, when we look at Houston, home versus BYU, home versus K-State, at TCU, at Iowa State, and then, of course, home versus Texas Tech in the Brett Yormark take the stuffing and stuff it up blank game. When we look at it, Houston, okay, and there'll be no math. There'll just be numbers, okay. So if you don't get all the numbers, don't worry about it because I'll give you the summary when it's all said and done, okay. And this will be freaky for those who are watching this thing on replay and watching it at like 1.5 speed, right? You people who watch it at 1.5 speed, you are my heroes at the end of the day. But Houston sits at 3-3 with the 8th ranked offense in the Big 12, 14th ranked defense. I mean, the defense is bad, right? I mean, when I had my guest on this week, you told me the defense is bad. That's bad, right? So you got to think to yourself, Texas has its way with Houston going forward, right? BYU, 14th ranked offense in this conference, the worst offense in this conference. So we're talking about this upcoming weekend. Texas will face a team that has the worst defense in the conference. And then BYU will come back the following week at home and have the worst offense in the conference and the 7th ranked defense. K-State will be a team that you'll look at and you'll say to yourself, okay, there's a pulse there. Because currently, as they sit at 4-2, 6th ranked offense, 5th ranked defense right now. Okay. So now you say to yourself, all right, game on as far as K-State is concerned. At TCU, right now, 5th ranked offense, 8th ranked defense. So good-ish, but K-State on paper is a little bit better than what TCU offers. Iowa State, I feel like they're smoke and mirrors to me. I'll just be honest with you. I feel like that's a lot of smoke and mirrors that are happening from Iowa State. I know they had a big victory this past weekend, but I still feel like that's a smoke and mirror team right there. But they have the 13th ranked offense, 4th ranked defense. The offense is trash. Defense is pretty good. And then you got Tech, and someone said Tech is awful. Tech QB is awful. Hookem 24/7 says 10th ranked offense, 10th ranked defense. So when it's all said and done, if we kind of go through it, Texas will play only one team with an offense ranked in the top 5. Rest of the season, from any kind of offensive firepower kind of thing, there's only one team. And that team obviously is TCU. And that's it. And of what's remaining of these 6 games, only 2 of the 6 remaining teams have a defense ranked in the top 5. Only 2. That's Kansas State and that's Iowa State. But Iowa State, as I told you, has no offense. So they have a decent defense. They can't score. So and right now, Texas faces 3 teams that have winning records. Right? That's BYU, that's K-State, and that's Iowa State. So that really becomes when you start looking at what's left, you could chalk up Houston as a win, chalk up BYU as a potential, these are all what I see as wins. Houston, BYU, Tech, those should be wins, money in the bank. Then there's the tricky games with the K-State. And I think K-State ends up being the trickiest of them all, if I'm quite honest with you. K-State ends up being the trickiest of them all, followed by TCU, followed by Iowa State. And so when I talk about, hey, can this team run the table? You look at that and say, yeah, no ranked teams. Only 3 teams that you're going to face that have winning records. None of them have elite offenses. Only 1 or 2 teams have pretty good defenses. And then everybody else is just kind of eh. What about the playoffs? Well, here's the thing. When they handle their business, the way that I think they can handle their business, the playoff conversation will come back. The playoff conversation will be there. But the big thing, the key to everything will be, winning the next 6, which I definitely think will be like I said, not the toughest thing that's out there. I think this weekend ends up being a get-right game for Texas versus Houston. I definitely, when it's all said and done, we'll do our prediction show within the next 90 minutes or so. I think this ends up being something that you look at and say, There should be a curb stomp in there. Aaron's is still at 23.5. Is that where the line is at? So the line's still at 23.5. I would take the over as far as that is concerned. That I expect big things out of that. So so can they run the table ends up being the first thing that we ask ourselves as relates to this team. Second one, number 2, and this becomes the tricky one. Will Jonathan Brooks become the bell cow running back? That's number 2. And that's the tricky one for all of us, right? Because all the math and all the stats say Jonathan Brooks should be getting all the touches, like 75% or more of the touches. And it shouldn't be a 60-40 split, 55-45, anything to that effect. It should be lion's share. It should be 80% on one, and then 20% on another, 15% for CJ Baxter. Right now, Jonathan Brooks ranks 4th in the nation this season in rushing yards per game, 121 yards per game. He's 6th in all-purpose yards. He's leading the Big 12 in both categories. He ranks 9th nationally in rushing yards, 726. He also leads the conference in rushing yards with 6, rushing touchdowns rather, with 6, total touchdowns 7, and he's averaging 6.72 per carry. Third, I think third in the nation net rushing yards. I don't know. I have 9th nationally. I think that number's incorrect. Everything says hand it to that guy. What we don't know though is Sark willing to say, you know what? I know CJ Baxter's a 5-star. I know that I had him as my starter. I know that I feel really good about him and his future. But this guy's hot, and I gotta ride the hot hand. Just is what it is. Hey, dude, this is life. If you want to go to the NFL, that's how that thing happens sometimes. Sometimes someone comes in and it just ends up getting hot, and you stay with them until the wheels fall off, right? And so that will be the thing that ends up being a question for me as I see the fan club presidents in the house. Darian says Sark shaking his head on this one. But dude, hey, what are you going to go back and force it and say to yourself, let me try to get this guy involved? Or you're just going to say, man, I just got to ride Brooks. This is what it is. And let me just get this guy to the NFL. Let me just get him to the NFL, and I don't have to worry about this anymore. I'll just get him to the NFL. That'll be the perfect solution, right? That is the thing that we don't know, that we're starting to wonder. Stare and say you think that Sark makes a ton under the table deal with CJ. Don't know. I don't know what this, but all I know is when Money B said Brooks about to cook, I mean, as I said before, going into the season, I told myself, man, you guys are crazy. Remember I told you guys all this. All you guys who asked me about Jonathan Brooks, can he be as good as Bijan? And can he have the numbers like Bijan? I told you, y'all all was on crack. Every single one of you. Every single one of you reminded me of Pookie or New Jack. I just thought, you're like, it keeps calling me, man. I just thought that's exactly what all you guys were. A bunch of Pookies out here asking for some sort of hit. Man, can I get another running back, man? Can I get another one of those? Come on, Cat Daddy. Let me tell you. Come on, man. I know you got some JB for me. I'm like, man, if y'all don't get away with me from that BS, and I have to admit, hey, bow down. You guys are right. For those of you who are Brooks people, and I told you no, hey, you were right. Unc was wrong. Unc's a believer now, though. I can tell it didn't take me long. Unc is a believer now. I'm hey, give me a little bit. Give me all of Jonathan Brooks at this moment, because that's how damn good he is. I'm 100% in Buy or sell, you asked me, and by the way, Ben G's asked me if Jonathan Brooks is better than Roshan Johnson. As a runner, sure. As a runner, he is. From a blocking perspective, I would have to do a little bit more deeper analyzation of that one. But as a runner, yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. And in fact, I think I talked to one of my sources a couple of weeks ago, and I think I relayed this to you, that person that spoke to an NFL GM that said they thought that Jonathan Brooks was the best running back in the country, period. So I don't know how that's going to work, how that thing works out and how that thing will see it. But I mean, yeah, this is Jonathan Brooks smoke that's coming out of here. And yeah, he definitely is better as that. Luke 222 super chat. Oh, we got some super chats back, man. What was that like? How that was like? I was like, I can't take nobody to no state dinners if these super chats don't come back in. Jay just wanted to let everybody know he's a JB24 fan club president in the house. Luke, you got the dreads, or did you sew in some extensions to show your support for your man? But hey, to the victor goes to spoils, man. He's that dude. I think to me, sometimes you got to make adjustments. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you got to make adjustments, and sometimes you think to yourself, I'm going to go down this path, or these are the players I'm going to start, and if just for whatever reason this thing works, right? You guys, I've coached my son's basketball team, so I'll take it to like a lesser degree, right? I've coached my son's basketball teams for years, and then my son played AAU ball for years, and then sometimes you feel like this thing is going to work with one person, and then somebody else comes in. And then you ever seen like some of these coaches that still try to make it work, and there's this person who's just jacking up shots, and then another kid just comes in, he's just way more effective. And so that's what it is. It's like it just at the end of the day, no matter what the plan is, sometimes you just adjust to the plan. Sometimes you lay it out, you say to yourself, man, this is what I thought. It's like Hudson Card a couple of years ago. Sark thought, like, that's going to be the guy. That's going to be my starter. And at some point, you said to yourself, man, it's got to be Casey. Hey, got to scratch the plan and figure it out going forward. So will he become the bell cow? But that's the question. We know he should. But the question is, will he? Can you answer that in the chat? Will he become the bell cow? Not should he. Because if we go to should he, the answer is yes. The question is, will he become the bell cow? That's what we'll have to figure out in the second half of the season. As Sark just says, to hell with it. This guy is one of the best running backs in the country. If it's not broke, why the hell am I trying to fix it? Okay, let's do number 3. Let's do number 3. Hope you guys are having a good one. I'm enjoying this one. Number 3 from our must answer questions. Can this defense make Oklahoma an anomaly? Because here's the thing where I'm at with the whole defensive conversation, and I hope Mr. Sorrell is around, because I will have some things of him. One of my questions will have a lot of interest for him, so I hope that he's around as well. Hope he's watching. But can they make this defense make Oklahoma an anomaly? Because prior to Oklahoma, the 5 games before that, you didn't have a problem with the defense. You didn't have any questions about the defense. And then OU happens, and then it's like, whoa. And so what has to be determined, and the question that has to be answered is, was that a one-off, or is that a sign of things to come? Like that, is that something that we're just going to look back and say, okay, bad day at the office, back to business as usual? Or we look back and say, you know what? We should have known after OU ... was going to happen. So that becomes the thing. Now, the interesting part, from a statistical standpoint, pure statistical standpoint, is Texas still has the top-ranked defense in the Big 12. Even after Oklahoma, still got the top-ranked defense. And I looked it up today, ranked 26th nationally. How many other teams would cut off an arm, pinky toe? Take my pinky toe at this moment. Cut that off in order to be ranked 26th nationally, right? So the question is it just one lackluster performance or not? I mean, because look at it, they're ranked second in opponent red zone conversions, right? So it's not like this team is bad by any stretch of the imagination defensively. So the question is, will they make this thing into an anomaly? Okay. That's the question that needs to be answered. All right. This one's going to be the tough one. It's going to be number 4. And it's going to be the necessary one. Will the edge rushers step up? And that specifically Barron Sorrell and Ethan Burke is what we're talking about right now. Specific. So for all of this talk before the season about double-digit sacks, can Texas have double-digit sack guys? Can Barron Sorrell have double-digit sacks? Can Ethan Burke have 8 or 10 sacks? Like, for all the talk about that beforehand and how strong the people on the edge were, and even though we had questions, but we kept hearing about, oh man, Sorrell, he killing in practice. Ethan Burke is killing in practice. Like all these practice reports, right? Which I hate practice reports, because practice reports is this one person going against another, and it's like some person watched a portion of practice for like 5 snaps and like, man, look at this person's killing it. It's like, okay, are they really killing it? It doesn't matter if they're killing it in August. What really matters is what happens in September and October, right? And so for all of that talk about what this would or would not look like, especially from like a sack conversation, when we look at Sorrell in 2023, we've got him down for 1 sack. 1 sack. 1 sack versus Wyoming. For all the double-digit sacks. And I know Dad comes in here and says his son's is great, right? And I get it, and I love it. I'm a father. I'll tell you, my son's really good, right? But for all the double-digit sacks, and could he go pro after this season, and all that other type of stuff that went along with it, we've got 1 sack in 6 games right now. Go through the other things. No interceptions, 1 pass breakup, 1 forced fumble, 11 tackles for losses, 1 sack, 1 pass breakup. That's not getting it done from a math standpoint, right? Ethan Burke gets a sack against Rice. Woo! Two sacks. Actually, a sack against Alabama. They're feeling pretty good about that. He gets 2 tackles for losses against Alabama, 4 tackles all together. And you thought to yourself, boy, look at here. They're cooking. He hasn't had a sack since Bama. Not 1. So between Ethan Burke and Barron Sorrell, we've got a total of 3 sacks. 3 sacks. That's it. That's not cutting it. That's not cutting it at all. That's not cutting it, especially when we start talking about the hype that went into the season and the confidence level. You can't have your 2 starting guys combining for 3. That's not getting pressure on the quarterback. That's not a formula for long-term success. So will the edge rushers step up? We don't know. But I do know they need to. I do know they need to play better. Absolutely. But that becomes number 4 on the list. Let's do number 5, and then we'll do a break. Let's do number 5. It's a good question, I think. Is Quinn Ewers strong performances here to stay? Is his strong performances here to stay? For all that was said about Quinn before the season, Quinn has been doing the damn thing this season. For all the question marks, for all the doubt that he got after the Rice game or doubt after the Wyoming game, when all said and done, you're still looking at one of the best quarterbacks, arguably the best. I know Dylan Gabriel had a good performance, so he's kind of like the big guy now as far as Heisman race contention and things to that effect. But when look at Quinn Ewers through 6 games, 1,704 yards, and then we look at 11 TDs versus 3 interceptions, and we look at a passer rating of 163.8. 5 touchdowns rushing. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. And Zach, I wouldn't. There's no way for me realistically to put this game on Quinn because I don't think that cost you dearly. At the end of the day, he does get his team down in the fourth quarter, and you guys score to go ahead. That was enough to win the game. When it was all said and done. And by the way, at Oklahoma, he completes 31 of 37 passes for 346 yards. The two interceptions that occur arguably were not his, and then a 160.4 passer rating. So that's where I'm at, Zach. Again, hopefully you watch my show long enough to know just because I push back on something doesn't mean I'm coming at you or disrespecting you or anything like that. It just means I disagree with the assessment as relates to Quinn. Because when I look at what he's been able to do, I look at a person who's been incredibly, I think, has played well this season. And I think you wouldn't trade him probably for just about any other quarterback in the Big 12 and very few in the nation is what it's all said and done. So, okay, good. Zach, I just want to make sure we're good because, I know you can't, it's just you and I can't talk, so I can't hear your voice. You can hear mine. So I just want to make sure you understand, it's all love. It's just us having, this is sports. We have debates and we don't always agree, but there's respect. And so, it's when it gets disrespectful, that's because problematic. When someone's like, man, you are stupid, whatever, then that's disrespect. Right here is just respectfully disagreeing. So, but I hear what you're saying. And for me, just as relates to the OU thing, I just don't put that all on Quinn. I put it on a defense that just didn't show up that day. But be quite honest with you, defense didn't show up. I mean, the offense puts up 31 points. That's good. That's good for a rivalry game to put up 31 points. But the defense that doesn't show up, defense doesn't make tackles, the defense that does what they do there, I put that on a lot of other factors unrelated to Quinn. But that to me, when I look at Quinn, again, at 346, he's had 2 straight games with 300 plus yards passing, which is, tied for the second longest streak in program history. Who knew that? Colt McCoy had 4 straight. So his 2 straight is second longest in program history. That's kind of wild. In Texas, think about this too, Zach. Texas has registered over 500 yards of offense in each of the last 3 games. 500 yards of offense in each of the last 3 games. And then when I looked at the last thing on Ewers, he's ranked top 20 nationally in completion percentage, yards per attempt, passing efficiency, and passing yards per game. And then, of course, 21st, this team is in total offense with 294 yards per game. So the real question is, are those things here to stay? I believe when it's all said and done that it is. Out of all the questions I was been able to ask, I believe that it is. And I think it is sustainable for those particular reasons because I don't, even in his quote unquote down games, whether it's a quote unquote down game versus Rice or a down game, versus Wyoming, he still was effective. And even in those games, he didn't turn the ball over. So if he gets back to, turnovers, but again, not necessarily his fault. But if we're looking at a guy who, if he starts finding his stride the way that he is, hey, there's a lot of good things that are going to be on the horizon for your team in the second half of the season, led by Quinn. Let's do this though, and there's more questions that are there. So I've got 5 more. So let's do a quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll break down the last 5 of the 10 questions that need to be answered in the second half of the season. Be right back. Ryan, help me with this Houston team. I don't know what to think. We at the early part of the year, I see a loss against Rice, and I think to myself, well, there you go with that team. They do beat West Virginia. That ends up being a big win, first Big 12 win, obviously, for them in the conference. But I also know winning on a Hail Mary is not necessarily the formula for success. That's not really how you do it. So give me an idea where Houston is at right now in your point of view.
So I cover this team every single day, 7 days a week, like you do at Texas. Mm-hmm. And I have no clue.
Okay.
I have no clue what the identity of this team is. I think offensively, they're starting to put little baby blocks on top of little baby blocks, right?
Yeah.
You played pretty well against Sam Houston. You had a good first half against Texas Tech, but then got totally dominated in the second half. And then you went and you put points on the board in every quarter against West Virginia, and you really had a big fourth quarter. And Donovan Smith had a just a hellacious game. I think he went 15 of 15 on his last 2.5 quarters or so. And the Hail Mary, they gave up a 50-yard play on 4th and 10 for a touchdown with 12 seconds left. So the game was basically won. U of H was up 11. West Virginia scored. They got the ball back and scored on a 4th down crazy play. And they got a celebration penalty. The quarterback was taunting. He was doing the U of H version of horns down and got a 15-yarder. They had to kick it from the 20-yard line, which gave U of H a chance to hit the Hail Mary. And it's the dumbest game I've ever been to in my entire life. I've just never seen anything dumber than how that ended. But there is progress. I don't know if it's sustainable. I don't know if you can do it against the athletes that UT has. So that's going to be a big test this week. Frankly, for me, it's, do you look like you belong? That's the first test.
All right, welcome back. Yes, this is definitely, first of all, hit that like button if you have not done so. Please do smash that thing for me. Let's get the likes up, subscribe to the channel if you have not. So make sure you guys do those things. And as always, say, put it in your little group chats and pass it along to your friends. Let them know, like, hey man, I got something that I'm listening to. I like to listen to this thing in the morning, in the car, on rewind, like anything to that effect. So yeah, make sure you do that as well. And yes, thank you, Benji. I 100% agree. Really better than the recruiting flashbacks. Blake has done a fantastic job. I messaged him during the break, that last break, to tell him you guys are liking it. And he said thanks, and he said he will actually continue to try to make these things fairly fresh. So I think you guys will enjoy this going forward. I think you've learned all you needed to know about Vince Young, Corey Redding, Malik Jefferson, and some of the other flashbacks that were there. Good job by Jeff Ketchum. And then this is less on his plate as well, to have to do that every single weekend. That's a lot of work for everybody. All right, let's go back to the 10 questions that need to be answered in the second half of the season. Number 6. Now, this kind of goes back into when, I was telling you my faith and belief in Quinn and all that type of stuff. But now, South End Zone Queen, good morning. She is caught up. I was wondering where you were. You haven't been around all week. I need to know where Texas Mama is at. Number 6, though, in Colby. I don't know where Colby's at either. It's there's a lot of familiar faces that are missing. Tom G is another one. That's okay. You guys will be back. You guys will be back. I know you will. Can Texas improve in the red zone? That to me is a question that Sark has been asked. I don't think he's appreciated the question for some folks or how it was worded more specifically at times. But sometimes a thing becomes a thing, right? And Texas in starting strong was a thing or the lack of them starting strong. It said, there you go. Good morning to you, Blue Jay. Texas started strong was a thing until it wasn't a thing, right? Until Baylor happened, then okay, no longer is this thing a thing. Texas finishing off games, especially struggles in the fourth quarter. That was a thing until it was no longer a thing, right? And right now, Texas in the red zone, that's now a thing. That's a thing that we're all talking about. It's a thing that we're kind of all focused on. And this is where they are. Right now in the conference, Texas is 8th in red zone conversions. Okay? There's been 24 attempts in the red zone. They've scored 20 times, 20 out of 24. But this is the key stat to that. 11 of those scores were touchdowns and 9 were field goals. That when you're smart enough and you know football well enough to know this. If you find yourself settling for field goals in the red zone, it's hard to have sustained success. Again, you can get by. There's a thing, right? There's 2 different things. When Texas sits at 5-1, that's getting by. Yes, you're able to do that, but to sustain it over the next 6 weeks, that's not a formula, which is getting down there in the red zone and settling for field goals. Like, you can't necessarily do that. Can they improve in the red zone? My answer to that, I'm leaning towards a yes, because if you tell me Ja'Tavion Sanders is healthy and he's back and he can operate in the middle, then yes. And then of course, if there's a focus in on Jonathan Brooks, so on and so forth, like I can totally see that thing happening. Zach Conley is a Gunnar Helm. That guy's a beast. Yeah, Gunnar Helm does a really good job. But you want Ja'Tavion Sanders healthy right now. You need to get that. And if you could get those people, get Ja'Tavion more involved in the red zone, see if there's other options within the red zone, so you're not necessarily settling for field goals. That's essential to me. That's a question that needs to be answered, because now again, I don't think K-State, TCU on the road, like you don't want to be doing field goals with these teams. I'm not saying this offense isn't good, but you want to get a little bit more out of it from there. So can Texas improve in the red zone? That becomes another area where you ask yourself, can they improve? My gut tells me yes on that one. I'm not going to stand on the table for it and tell you for sure that I know it's going to happen, but I can tell you that I feel good about that thing happening at number 6. Number 7, as we go to the 10 must-answer questions for your Texas Longhorns in the second half of the season. Can this team generate more turnovers? That's got to become a thing. And Sark talked about that, right? Sark talked about that's something that he wants to see more from and more out of his team, is being able to generate those turnovers, right? That's so funny. I go everywhere in my chair. Sometimes I watch the rewind. I just go down. I go back up. I lean into you. This is how I talk. I think it's just nervous energy. But yeah, being able to generate more turnovers. Because here, look, I went again, looked it up, looked up the numbers. You know, say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Jay-Z. Texas right now ranked 8th in the turnover margin right now. Right? 8th in the turnover, and I'd say 8th in the Big 12. Ranked 8th in the turnover margin. And right now, overall, just for turnovers alone, Texas is ranked 8th in the Big 12. They're tied for 8th, actually, with Texas Tech. But they have 8 because they both have 8 turnovers. So it's an 8 for 8 at this point. Give you a good example. Oklahoma's first in that department. They have 15 in the moment, right? Houston, just so we're clear, is actually tied for 4th with 10 turnovers. So Texas is just actually a little bit down there, a little bit below Houston is concerned as far as getting turnovers concerned. But yes, that becomes a thing. Blake's got this thing. You know, I tweeted this thing out over the summer, and Blake's got the picture of it. And I wanted to recap this thing for those of you who may have missed it and not seen me on Twitter when I put this thing out here. But this was a drill when I could go to practice at some point. It was so that was in August. I was in training camp, and they had the DBs punching on the ball, and they were having boxing gloves, and the goal was to try to create turnovers, and they had put on boxing gloves in order to kind of generate this. So it was a point of emphasis throughout the all season. And then during one of the practice, they had DBs put this thing on. Now, I always found it to be a little bit interesting, because I thought to myself, you're not going to wear boxing gloves during a game. So I'm not quite sure how applicable this drill would be when the season started. I just like, is it going to help? I don't know that to be sure. But the main thing that was from a flashback standpoint, and the purpose for me showing you that was that you would know that was a huge thing that they wanted to improve based off of last season's results. And that was something that they were working on in the all season in order to get more of. And here we are 6 weeks in, still talking about need to generate turnovers. So right now, that becomes a thing. That there's a balance to that, right? Because if you're trying to generate the turnovers, but if you try to do too much and you don't bring the guy down to the ground, now all of a sudden you got way more problems at that point. Now it's way more problems, way more issues when it's all said and done. But that ends up being number 7. Can Texas generate more turnovers? That thing needs to happen again to have sustainable success. Number 8 that's out there. And this is interesting because will clock management become a thing again? Is a must answer question for me, because it became a thing against Oklahoma. Right? It became a thing where we started looking at, all right, hey, when's the ball being snapped? What time is the ball being snapped? And is there such a thing as trying to run time off the clock? And it wasn't a thing against Kansas because Texas goes out and beats Kansas, right? So you can't bring up something and make something into a thing at that point where you're saying to yourself, like, you're going to nitpick a win to that effect. But when it happens against OU during a loss, now all of a sudden it was like, wait a second, you can do a little bit better at this thing. And so, yeah, that becomes the question is, will clock management become a thing, or will that be something that Sark, he talked about evaluating himself as a coach, as a play caller, all that. When he looked at himself in the bye week, he said to himself, like, maybe I could do something. Because he said previously he wouldn't do anything different, especially in the fourth quarter against Oklahoma with about 4 minutes left. Said wouldn't do anything different. But the question is, if given the opportunity and put in that situation again, would he think twice about, would be a bad idea to run out the clock? That becomes the question. So that's number 8 for me. Number 9, Number 9 on our question list. Hope everyone's doing good. If you're just joining us, hit that like button if you can. That'd be a pretty darn awesome. But will freshmen Anthony Hill, Malik Muhammad, Derek Williams Jr. continue their positive growth? Because right now, when you look at the guys, I'm gonna find some of their stats right here. Right here, put this one over here. Hold on one second. I pulled up their stats. I've got Malik Muhammad. I've got Anthony Hill as well. So Anthony Hill Jr. at this moment, he's got 3 sacks right now. He had 2 of them came against Alabama. Obviously had 1 against Oklahoma. So he's been able to do that. He's got 3.5 tackles for loss. He's got 17. He's got 25 tackles, actually. 17 of those are solo. And he's got 1 pass breakup. Right there, that's your freshman of the year, right? I think there's really no debate about that. And then when we look at Malik Muhammad so far, he's had 12 tackles, 2 pass breakups, no interceptions as of yet. So you've had him. And of course, Derek Williams, you've had some positive production for Derek Williams as well. With 7 solo tackles, 5 assisted for a total of 12 this season. The real question becomes, can they continue that? Or do you have any concern about that infamous freshman wall that guys start to hit when we start getting into that territory that, hey, this game is a lot more physical than it was in high school for them. You start to get into week 10. Playing more games than they play, like all that kind of stuff. But there's always that freshman wall. Like we've heard about that. That is a thing. Can they avoid that? Becomes a big question going forward. Anthony Hill, probably, you probably would say no, but you just don't know as relates to all the other folks. So that's number 9 for me. I've got one more, last one. And there's a big one. Will Bert Auburn establish consistency? And that's a big one for me. That's a big one. That could be number 1. But when you look at Bert Auburn, I know Steve Sarkisian says he's got faith in him. I know he says he's got some belief in Bert Auburn. And clearly Bert Auburn does the things that he needs to do in practice. So you got to give him his credit and tip the cap off as far as that is concerned. But right now, Bert Auburn is completing 70.6% of his field goal attempts. That currently ranks 9th in the Big 12. 9th out of 14 kickers. That's where Bert Auburn is at that 70.6% mark at this moment. 12 of 17 this season. His longest, obviously, is being a 49. Good on a point after attempts. But the other one, the missed field goals, are the ones that kind of, again, become a little problematic. Again, this is a person who, it's all said and done, Sark loves, or at least likes a lot. He's a person that he's not willing to, take out a lineup. He's not a person that he's willing to say, let me get Will Stone to look. Like, none of that seems to be on the table. But it's just hey, can he get more consistent? So in the games where they need those kicks, if there is, a close game, do you have any concern about where Bert Auburn is? Can he make them early so Texas can have those leads? And then there's math things that are in there. So number 10 for me is, will Bert Auburn establish consistency? All right. Let's go to Specs at this moment. Let's see what's going on Specs. It's weekend time. You might, listen, nice cool weather that's out there. I say it's cuffing season. You might want to get yourself a little bottle of wine, do something romantic this weekend. Might want to get yourself some beer. Maybe you're a person like that. Maybe something, you just want something for yourself. Rodolfo, you're of legal age right now. Maybe you want to sip on some. Rodolfo, you're young. I said, tell you got to drink some beers while you're young. So you learn how to drink and drink responsibly. Stay with some beers, Rodolfo, Cotton, all you guys. But Specs, man, they've got you covered. You got some tailgating that's going on. You got some partying that's going on. Halloween parties you got going on this weekend, next weekend. got to load up on everything from Specs. So yeah, check this out because Specs has absolutely got you covered.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
All right, Aaron, let's do some social media standouts. Let's go ahead and talk about some folks who have stood out on social media. Sometimes these things are good. Sometimes you can stand out for the bad. Well, let's start with the good. Let's start with something for you, everybody, to be happy about, to give someone things to talk about. But they had the Associated Press mid-season All-Americans, AP mid-season All-Americans, and Texas had 3 people on that list. Something for everybody, you guys out there, to feel good about. And yes, Ben, there will be prize picks this morning. That's why I will be getting out of here pretty soon, because at 10 o'clock, we will have prize picks, Ben. So yes, prize picks Thursday is coming. And so, yes, that's why you're getting a condensed version of the show, fuller version tomorrow, but condensed right now. But here are your midseason All-Americans. Jonathan Brooks leading the way. Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy the second. That should be to nobody's surprise at this moment. The way that Jonathan Brooks has been playing, establishing himself as one of the best running backs in the country. He's a good guy to smash the more on as relates to your prize picks. He's a good the person that he's been killing it on the more. He's been killing it on the more, right? So you've been wanting to establish the more as relates to him, and then of course Tavondre Sweat, the emergence of him, and of course Byron Murphy the second. Those guys in the interior living up to what they're billing. Now it's up to the guys on the outside, those 2 guys that we mentioned, as far as the 10 must answer questions, to live up to their side of the expectations. Aaron, let's do another one. Check this out. Check this out, y'all. Check this out. Tulsa will attempt to set the Guinness World Record for world's largest beer tasting event before Thursday's game with Rice. Each participant required to taste 3 beers as they are guided by a certified, what is that? How do you say that word? I don't know. Somebody, golly, Cicerone? I'm not quite sure. My goodness. But being a product of a public school education, I guess I cannot get into Texas because I don't know what that word is. But the current record is 1,243 people in Barcelona, Spain in July of 2022. Cheers. And Blue Jay says Cicerone. Okay, so I was somewhat close. Cicerone. Interesting. Yeah, so imagine this. Tulsa is about to get lit before the Rice game, boy. I mean, and I know there's quite to taste it, but boy, oh boy, oh boy. Now, I imagine they try to do that at Texas. That you could probably do that. You could probably set that, but boy, that gotta be fun though. I'm not gonna lie. That's got to be a fun experience to be able to do that. Blue Jay, thank you for being a beer aficionado. There's always smart people like Blue Jay that are around to help people like myself who may not know certain things in life. Thank you so much for that. Hey, Aaron, before we do another one, let me just go to Hook'em's question, buy or sell question. I'll get him in here as well. He asked me a buy or sell question. He wants to know buy or sell Texas has back-to-back Dope Walker Award winners. I'm gonna buy. I am going to believe that Sarkisian will say to hell with it. I'm going to go ahead and just give Jonathan Brooks the keys to the city. There's a part of me that's saying to myself, he's going to say this has to happen. I got to buy on that. There's a part of me that just can't allow myself to believe he'll be that stubborn and say to himself, no, it's got to be 50. No, I believe he's got to say, yeah. So I'm going to buy on JB for all your JB fan club presents out there. I will buy on that one. And then there's another one that came in from ATX Big Rich. So we'll go ahead and get him in there as well. Big Rich in the house. They call him Big Rich. Larry Hoover. Texas offense will have 150 yards rushing and 350 yards through the air against U of H. And Texas defense will hold U of H to less than 200 total yards. Buy. I'll buy on that one. I think I think Houston's offense is trash. I mean, defense, rather. I think everything, all the numbers show that they're trash. I think, yes. And again, you're talking 500 yards of offense, which seems to be the sweet spot of offensive numbers for Texas over the past few games. So, yes, I will absolutely go with that one. I'll buy on that one, and I'll buy on the Texas defense being something that comes back to life. So, I will absolutely buy on that, Big Rich. A big day for your Texas Longhorns on Saturday. So, I'll buy on that one. Let's go ahead and go back to our social media standouts. Aaron, let's see what else we got. We already talked about the Guinness Book of World Records. My main man, Clarence Hill. You know, the thing is that's interesting is that I remember when I covered the NFL, and there would always be year after year, you know, Goodell would do something that someone wouldn't like. And there would always be this prediction that, oh, the owner's going to get rid of Goodell. His job might be in jeopardy. And I was like, no, never going to happen. Not going to happen. Because he makes them too much money. They may not like him at times. Remember a few years ago when Jerry Jones decided that he was going to say stuff about Goodell, and people thought to themselves, "Oh, Goodell's in trouble because Jerry don't like him." Goodell, and I was like, the owners don't care. He makes them too much money. When it's all said and done, and what happened? He's still there. So yeah, of course, they extended his contract through 2027. Of course, he gets 3 more years. He's making them too much money. Like when you have people who make you money, you put up with a lot. It's just how it is. If someone makes you money, and you just say, "All right," that's NFL teams, right? That's why they deal with guys who might have criminal records or criminal past, or you're going to win, help this team win. But you make us help this team win, you're going to help us make money. Like, so we'll put certain things to the side. So no matter what you want to think about Goodell, he's probably in that job for as long as you want to be. Just so you know. All right. Okay. There's a buy or sell that comes in. So hold on. Go get text guy. Then we're going to go back. You guys got a teaser. While I come in. Our stops at Quick Trip now for snacks on the road. I'll stop at Quick Tip for maybe gas. I don't know if I need to go to Quick Tip for. The other place is where you go for snacks. The other place, if I need to do a search and see, I didn't get an update. Has this case been resolved yet? Ugh! I have an issue with it at this moment until this thing gets resolved. Until it gets resolved, I don't know if I can stop there. I want to go innocent until proven guilty. So tough. Anyway, no, Anyway, I'm off that question. Let's go back to social media standouts. Let's go back to this one. Jada Pinkett Smith says Tupac and Will Smith would have been good friends if he had survived the shooting in Las Vegas. I just don't know what Will has done to deserve this. I'm having it. What? Why? Just leave the man alone. Like, it seems like every day I've got something new that's come out that she's saying that just has Will Smith out here looking just foolish in these streets, just looking like Willie Lump Lump. And she just like, they would be friends. Like, really? Really? I mean, like, I why do you, this is a definition of like, why do you have to keep talking? Why do you have to keep saying stuff about this thing? Why can't you keep prolonging this thing? I just feel like there's certain things that just let that personal relationship be behind closed doors, but it just can't be. And I just wish it would just go away. But boy, and she was a, this is what happens when you get with the crazy ones. This is what happens when you get with the crazy ones, man. This is what happens when you get with it, because it seemed cool. Seems cool. Now she just telling, our marriage hasn't been real. Like, all this kind of stuff. I was surprised when he called me his wife. I can't believe that. Tupac get okay. She's making Tupac look like the winner in this situation. Like, golly, just leave. Just stop talking. Leave this man alone. God, man, I'm just like, Will, just go out and find yourself somebody, bro. Just find yourself somebody and find yourself some happiness. That's what happens when you get with somebody and you stay with them too long, man. They bring that unhappiness to you, man. So I said, oh man, life's too short. Anyway, I feel bad. They said, somebody said, I saw something today that Jada Pinkett is talking so much that makes you wish that she got caught in that last scene and set it off. If you saw Set It Off, you would understand that thing. Like, when she was able to get away, you just kind of wish that at this point now, you're like, man, I wish that it had been you instead of Latifah. I wish Latifah was the person that got on the bus and Jada was the one in the car. Like, that's what it makes you wish you would. Okay. All right, let's do another one. Let's do another social media standout. The Athletic had an article here this week. Very interesting too, by the way. Shouts out to them at the Athletic. What did she say? It's interesting there. But Jimbo Fisher has underperformed at Texas. So there's an excerpt from the Atlantic that says Texas A&M, I'm told, will find the money to get rid of him if he can't get this thing going. And that's from Bruce Feldman on Jimbo Fisher. Yeah. And look, listen. When these kind of stories start coming out, you might be looking at a dead man walking. But because you hadn't heard that kind of stuff coming out before, like that, none of you haven't heard, just like, okay. But when you start hearing that, yeah, we'll put that money together. We'll figure this thing out. Yeah. Then at that point, Jimbo might want to find himself some wins. At some point, these people, you got too many people cutting checks and not getting enough ROI, return on the investment. They're not getting that return on investment. So yeah, we're hearing that one. Woo, yeah, I know. See, the thing is, I know you guys. You guys want Jimbo to keep the job because you want to get that win against A&M next year. And you're like, man, if my man said fine, but that's what you want. You guys are looking at it from a selfish standpoint. Hey, man, let's just go ahead and keep him around. But anyway, don't look good for Jimbo down there in College Station. I'll be there nonetheless. All right. Let's do another one. How many more do we got? How many more do we have? Is this the last? This is the last one? 2 more? Okay. It's like a really cool video. If you go out there, that's got to find it. Jokic, you guys know Jokic loves horses. Like, horses are his thing. So he's literally on the bench, on the phone, and just deep into his phone, right? But he's not on Twitter, he's not on Facebook or TikTok or anything like that. He gets asked, like, from Jamal Murray, like, who's that? And dude's like, man, I'm scouting horses. And he's literally, I mean, you look how deep in thought he is. I mean, Jokic is so good though. Jokic is so dope. He is. You can look at that. You look at him, and I the thing I love about Jokic is that you look at him, and then first of all, he's huge, and you think to yourself like, oh, man, what is that guy like? He's not that athletic, and all he does is score buckets. Like that's all he does. He's a scoring freaking machine. And then, of course, he's got 7, 8, 10, or 12. He's so not even paying attention because he's so focused on trying to find himself more horses to buy. Like Jokic is next level good. And by the way, if you get on Prize Picks, there is some things for like some numbers, some season-long numbers on Jokic as well that you might be interested in looking into because Jokic is that dude. I'm always going to take the more as relates to him. All right, let's do the last 2 ones before I get out of here, get everything clear. Okay, I need my young bucks. I need my young bucks in here. I need all my young bucks that are in here. Money B. Okay, this is the last one. So Money B, Cotton, Rodolfo, if you're still here. Some of the other people that I know are some young folks that are here. What do y'all think of this? Because I'm too old. I think Darian's young as well. I'm too old to have an opinion. Ben might be young. I think Ben might be a young guy. Kiki for sure. I know is a little bit younger than myself. But first of all, if you saw the video, he got a grill, but his teeth were a little bit crooked. It is okay to have crooked teeth, but it literally, they're all kind of everywhere. They're almost kind of like gator teeth, crocodile teeth, something like that. What do y'all think of $80,000 on LaMelo Ball getting a grill? I mean, what do y'all think of is this money that you would tell yourself if you got that? What's funny to me is Melo was kind of raised like suburban, so this whole grill kind of gangsterish kind of look. What's funny to me is like that's not even him. Like that's not who you are. Like there's no parts of you that's like, man, I need a grill out here, man. Like to me, that's not how you was raised. So 80 G's, 100 G's to be able to say, man, that's what I got. Shook ones, you saying that's not him? Are you guys saying that was not him? Because that was allegedly something that they took off of his stuff. So you gotta let me know if it's not him. Are you still dropping 80 G's on the grill? Like, is that still something that you guys would do? And again, I just gotta in cases like this, where me at my age, I'm accepting of saying like, you know what? When I was young, I did things that my older people probably look at and say that's a waste or whatever, right? So I'm like my kid, like he's got like the poofy hair, so he's got like my oldest son. He's kind of like he's got like a sideshow. What is it? Sideshow Bob, was that his name from The Simpsons? Damn, Aaron's looking at me like I'm crazy. Damn it, man! But I think it was Sideshow Bob. I think it was his name. So it's like he's got like the poofy hair thing that's going right. So he just wants to edge around the side and have it go up. So I'm like, cool, no problem. He likes it. I love it. It is what it is, right? And I see other kids out there with their styles, things that they wear. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it why young people when it's hot, they wear sweats. They wear sweats and a sweatshirt and a sweatpants. And then when it's cold, they're wearing shorts. Like I don't get it. Like I don't get wearing pajamas out. Like I don't understand it. I don't understand the purpose of it. So but I understand that I'm old. And so because I'm old, it's not for me, right? Today's music is not for me. It doesn't speak to me. So I don't say, today's music sucks. I don't just say it just doesn't speak to me. The older other stuff spoke to me in my generation. Maybe this speaks to you in your generation. I'm just asking from a grill standpoint, you get, I don't know, $1 million, $10 million, right? Whatever. $10 million. Are you dropping 80 G's on a grill? I just want to know from my young folks. You dropping 80 G's on a grill. Someone drops $1 million on you, 10 million on you. Is that where you're at? That's where we're at. Ryan Ricks, why aren't we talking about Texas football? Where have you been for the past hour? Why don't you go back and you can absolutely check it out. There's nothing but Texas football. This is the very end of the show, Ryan. So I know who hasn't been watching. Well, speaking of football, we got our Prize Picks show that's coming up in the next 30 minutes, which is why I need to get out of here. So we got Prize Picks coming at 10 o'clock. We've got House Divided. That is coming at noon, from noon to 3. And then we got Alex, Football with Friends. We got that from 3:30 until 5:30. And then, of course, tomorrow morning, wake up with Horns Up and see what those guys are out there. It's okay, Ryan, if it's 7:30 for me, but you can't come in here firing shots, Ryan. And the Outsiders are on tonight as well. But you can't come in here, Ryan Riggs, firing them shots, talking about why we not doing this and not doing that when we're at the very end. Like, hey, sometimes it's like, ask a question, right? It's like you sometimes you instead of like making an accusation, you just ask a question. Hey, man, did I miss any football conversation? And if you came into like that way, then I can tell you like, hey, Ryan, we actually did miss the football conversation. We're at the very end of the show, but the whole show was about the 10 questions that must be answered in the second half of the football season. And I broke down the 10 most important things. And if you go back and watch it and maybe just jump like the first 15, 20 minutes or so, and then there's about a good hour-long conversation of football discussion that you can catch up on. My man. All right, guys, I got to clear the deck. I got to let them go in here and get in here and do all the kind of little thingies that need to be done so this show can definitely get ready to get started. So don't go anywhere. We got more football conversation. We got predictions that are coming up within the next 30 minutes. So I'll be ready. Thank you, Aaron, for everything that you do behind the scenes. I appreciate you. Thank you, Blake, for having the new ones, the new pauses, the new breaks ready to go. So I appreciate that. Tomorrow will be a fun Friday. So just so you know, we'll talk football on Friday, and we're also going to have foolishness as well. So just so you know. So if you just need football and football only, Friday may not be the show for you, but it will be a fun one as we go into the weekend nonetheless. You guys have a fantastic weekend. Actually, fantastic weekend. Fantastic few hours. Hell, fantastic couple of minutes. Come on back. Don't go anywhere. Remember what I always say, live each day like it was your last. One day it will be. You guys take care. Talk to you soon. See you in a few minutes.